Do you ever wonder why some gardens remain vibrant and productive through winter while others end up looking barren and lifeless? October might seem like the end of the growing season, but in reality, it's one of the most strategic times to plant. If you prepare your soil properly and choose the right crops, you can keep harvesting fresh produce even as frost begins to set in. In this video, I'll guide you through 7 crops you should absolutely plant in October, complete with variety suggestions, planting techniques, care tips, and troubleshooting advice. These crops will reward you with early spring harvests or even fresh winter produce that most gardeners never experience. 1. Shallots and winter onions. The hidden fall champions. If you've only ever planted onions in spring, you're overlooking one of the easiest and most productive fall crops: shallots and winter onions. October is the perfect time to get them in the ground, giving them a head start before the soil freezes. This early planting leads to a faster, more abundant harvest next spring, often weeks before your spring-planted onions mature. Begin with healthy, firm sets or transplants. Avoid any that are soft or moldy. Shallots and winter onions prefer cool soil temperatures between 50-60 degrees, 10-15 degrees, and thrive in nutrient-rich, well-drained soil. Before planting, mix in compost and add a light dusting of bone meal or wood ash for extra potassium. Good drainage is critical. Waterlogged soil can quickly cause bulbs to rot. Plant each bulb 1 to 2 inches deep with the pointed end facing up, spaced about 6 inches apart in rows a foot apart. Water lightly after planting and cover the area with a thick mulch layer, straw, leaves, or pine needles. This helps protect the bulbs from frost heaving, a common issue when soil repeatedly freezes and thaws. Throughout winter, the bulbs will quietly develop strong root systems. They might not show much growth above ground, but that's normal. They're getting ready for rapid growth in spring. Once the weather warms, they'll send up green shoots well before most other garden crops even sprout. By late spring or early summer, you'll have a generous harvest of flavorful bulbs ready for curing or fresh use. Shallots, in particular, are prized for their delicate, slightly sweet taste. A perfect balance between onion and garlic that enhances sauces, dressings, and roasted dishes. These alliums are also quite cold tolerant, making them ideal for regions with harsh winters. With mulch and good drainage, they typically overwinter successfully without issue. Pro tip: avoid planting onions or shallots in the same bed where other alliums grew recently. Rotate their location every 2 to 3 years to reduce the risk of soil-borne diseases. 2. Garlic. The king of fall planting. October marks the true beginning of garlic season. While the rest of your garden is slowing down, this is when garlic begins. It's quiet work beneath the soil and preparing for a vigorous comeback in spring. Planting in October gives your garlic the cool soil, consistent moisture, and necessary cold dormancy period, called vernalization. It needs to form large, beautiful bulbs later on. Start with firm, healthy bulbs from a trusted seed supplier. Avoid using grocery store garlic since it's often treated to stop sprouting. Gently break each bulb into individual cloves, leaving their papery skins intact. These protective layers help prevent rot and deter pests during early growth. Pick a sunny, well-drained area for planting. Garlic detests soggy soil, so if your garden bed tends to stay wet, improve drainage by working in compost and a bit of sand or perlite. Before planting, enrich the soil with organic material like aged manure, compost, or a light application of bone meal or rock phosphate to support healthy root development. Plant each clove with the pointed end facing up and the flat base down, about 2 inches deep and spaced 4 to 6 inches apart. Cover them gently with soil, water thoroughly, and mulch heavily with straw, shredded leaves, or pine needles. This thick mulch helps regulate soil temperature, suppress weeds, and shield the cloves from freeze-thaw cycles during winter. Once the cold sets in, you won't see much happening above ground. But underground, the cloves are busy growing roots and establishing themselves for spring. When temperatures rise, green shoots will start poking through the mulch. That's your cue to feed with a nitrogen-rich fertilizer or a dose of compost tea to encourage strong leaf growth. Keep weeds in check and maintain even moisture through spring and early summer. When the lower leaves begin to yellow, typically by midsummer, like it's harvest time. Carefully lift the bulbs, brush off excess soil, and cure them in a well-ventilated, shaded spot for a few weeks before storage. Garlic planted in fall nearly always produces larger, more flavorful bulbs than spring-planted garlic. Its slow winter development allows for even division and longer storage life. For an early treat, you can plant a few cloves closer together and harvest their young, tender shoots in spring, known as green garlic. It has a mild, delicate flavor perfect for soups, stir-fries, and sauces. Don't forget to rotate your garlic patch each year to prevent disease buildup, such as white rot or nematodes. A 3 to 4 year rotation works best. Garlic rewards patience. Plant it once in the fall, and by summer you'll be pulling up plump, aromatic bulbs ready for your kitchen. 3. Spinach. Overwinter yas cold hardy varieties. The earliest taste of spring spinach is one of the most reliable and satisfying crops to plant in October. Although it's often considered a spring green, fall planting of cold hardy varieties can keep your garden productive even through snow and frost. Varieties like Giant Winter, Matador, and Bloomsdale Longstanding are built to withstand cold weather and bounce back quickly once daylight returns. Timing and protection are key to overwintering spinach. Sow your seeds 2 to 4 weeks before the ground freezes. The goal is to let the plants develop small, strong rosettes before winter, not to grow fully mature leaves. This way they can survive the cold and resume vigorous growth in early spring. Prepare a loose, fertile bed enriched with compost. Spinach struggles in compacted or waterlogged soil. Sow seeds about ½ an inch deep and 2 to 3 inches apart, thinning as needed. After planting, water gently and cover with a thin mulch of straw or shredded leaves to buffer temperature swings. In colder regions, you can extend protection with row covers, low tunnels, or cold frames. These simple structures slightly raise soil and air temperatures, helping your spinach survive even the harshest winter nights. Undercover, spinach can handle temperatures as low as 20 degrees Celsius, 6 degrees Celsius, and often recovers well after freezing. During the coldest months, growth slows to a crawl. The plants focus on root development. But as days lengthen in February or March, they'll explode with tender, delicious leaves long before your spring-sown greens appear. Overwintered spinach also tastes noticeably sweeter. As temperatures drop, the plant increases its sugar content to resist freezing, resulting in a richer, less bitter flavor. Pro tips: don't over-fertilize in fall. Too much nitrogen promotes lush, vulnerable growth. In early spring, harvest the outer leaves first to encourage steady regrowth before bolting. Rotate your spinach location each year to avoid fungal issues like downy mildew. With a bit of planning and protection, overwinter spinach delivers one of the earliest, most rewarding harvests of the year, and proving that in gardening, a little patience in fall can lead to big rewards in spring. For broad beans, fava beans, winter, sowing for mild climates. If you live in a region with mild winters or can provide your plants with frost protection, broad beans, also known as fava beans, are one of the smartest crops to plant in October. These hardy legumes love cool weather and actually perform best when grown in the chill of fall and early spring. By planting now, you give them time to establish deep, strong roots before winter, resulting in earlier flowering and a more abundant harvest next year. Opt for cold-tolerant varieties such as Aqua Dulce Claudia, Whitkiam Manita, or Super Aqua Dulce. These are bred to withstand lower temperatures and unpredictable winter weather. Sow seeds 1.5 to 2 inches deep, spacing them 8 to 10 inches apart, with rows about 18 inches apart. They prefer fertile, well-drained soil enriched with compost or aged manure. Avoid adding too much nitrogen fertilizer. It can lead to excessive leafy growth instead of productive pods. Once planted, cover the soil with a layer of straw or shredded leaves to stabilize temperatures and prevent frost heaving. In areas with colder winters, zones below 7, sow your beans under a cold frame, greenhouse, or polytunnel, or start them in pots to transplant once spring begins to warm the ground. During fall and winter, the plants will focus on growing their root systems, storing energy below ground. When daylight increases and temperatures rise in early spring, they'll surge upward, producing sturdy stems and fragrant white flowers that soon develop into pods. This early planting means you'll be harvesting plump, flavorful fava beans weeks before spring-sown ones are even blooming. Fava beans also enrich your garden soil naturally. As legumes, they fix nitrogen through nodules on their roots, improving fertility for future crops. After harvest, simply cut the plants at their base and leave the roots in the ground. As they decompose, they release valuable organic matter and nutrients. Pro tip: if a hard frost is on the way, cover your broad beans with fleece or low tunnels. They can handle light freezes but appreciate a little protection from strong winds and snow. By sowing fava beans in October, you're doing more than planting a crop. You're improving soil health, extending your growing season, and ensuring your garden remains active and productive even through winter. 5. Cover crops. Green manures, clover, rye, mustard, mixes, the hidden key to a thriving garden. Next year, cover crops may not provide immediate food for your table, but they're one of the most valuable things you can plant in October. Think of them as an investment in your soil, a way to protect, nourish, and rebuild it during the months when your garden would otherwise sit idle. Many seasoned gardeners will tell you that their best harvests always begin with the crops they plant after the main growing season ends. When you sow cover crops such as winter rye, crimson or bursum clover, hairy vetch, mustard, or field peas, you're growing a living shield for your soil. Each plant serves a different purpose in improving soil health. Rye captures leftover nutrients, prevents weeds, and loosens compacted soil with its deep root system. Clover and other legumes naturally add nitrogen to the soil by pulling it from the air, a natural fertilizer that feeds future crops. Mustard acts as a natural soil cleanser, reducing harmful nematodes and diseases. Sowing these plants in October gives them time to germinate and develop roots before winter. Even a small amount of green growth above ground helps prevent erosion, nutrient leaching, and frost damage. Below the surface, their roots enhance structure and provide food for beneficial soil organisms throughout the cold months. To plant, clear the beds of any remaining debris, gently loosen the top layer of soil, broadcast the seeds evenly, and rake them in about ½ an inch deep. Water lightly once and let nature take it from there. Hardy crops like rye or vetch perform well in cold climates, while clover and mustard are ideal for milder regions. Come spring, before the cover crops start flowering, cut them down or till them into the soil. As they decompose, they transform into a nutrient-rich green manure that releases nitrogen and organic matter, leaving your soil dark, soft, and full of life. Within a few short weeks, the bed will be ready for planting again, with improved fertility and structure. Pro tip: for the best balance of nutrients and soil texture, combine legumes like clover or field peas with grasses like rye. This mix improves fertility, suppresses weeds, and creates a rich, crumbly soil perfect for spring crops. Planting cover crops in October is a small effort with big rewards: healthier soil, fewer weeds, stronger plants, and better yields in the year ahead. 6. Peas. Autumn. Planting for an early spring harvest. Peas are often thought of as a spring vegetable, but if you live in a mild or temperate region, October is actually one of the best times to sow them. Early planting gives peas a significant head start. They germinate in cool soil, and even though growth slows during the coldest months, their roots continue developing underground. When spring arrives, they're ready to take off immediately, producing flowers and pods long before spring-sown varieties even sprout. Choose hardy, cold-tolerant varieties like Kelvedon Wonder, Meteor, Oregon Sugar Pod 2, or Douce Provence. These can withstand light frosts and chilly nights with ease. In zones 7 to 10, you can plant directly outdoors in October. For colder areas, protect your crop with row covers, low tunnels, or unheated greenhouses, or start the seeds in trays indoors and transplant them later. Prepare your bed carefully before planting. Peas love rich, well-draining soil. Work in compost or aged manure and make sure the bed isn't prone to waterlogging. Sow seeds about 1 inch deep and 2 to 3 inches apart, and install your trellises or netting immediately to avoid disturbing roots later on. After sowing, water gently and cover with a thin mulch of straw or shredded leaves. Through winter, your peas may appear dormant, but underground, roots are strengthening and preparing for rapid growth. When the days lengthen in late February or early March, the plants will suddenly spring to life, producing fresh green shoots, flowers, and pods well before other garden vegetables wake up. In regions where winters are too harsh for fall planting, you can still use October to prepare your pea bed. Clear away spent crops, loosen the soil, amend it with compost, and set up trellises. Then cover the area with mulch or a tarp to protect it until early spring. So when the thaw comes, you can plant right away. Pro tip: peas are natural soil enrichers. Their roots fix nitrogen, improving fertility for whatever follows them. After harvest, don't pull up the vines. Simply cut them at the base, leaving the roots to decompose and release nutrients back into the soil. By planting or preparing for peas in October, you're setting yourself up for a sweet early harvest and boosting your soil health for the season ahead. An easy win for any gardener who wants to make the most of the cooler months. 7. Turnips and mustard greens, the underrated stars of the fall. Garden turnips and mustard greens are two of the most productive and satisfying crops you can plant in October. They grow quickly, tolerate cold weather exceptionally well, and flourish just as many summer vegetables begin to fade. Whether you're after crisp, tender roots, flavorful greens, or both, these resilient cool season plants bring color, taste, and vitality to your garden well into winter and even early spring. Let's begin with turnips. These hardy vegetables thrive in cool conditions and actually become sweeter after experiencing a light frost. The cold signals the plants to convert their natural starches into sugars, producing mild, juicy roots with a subtle sweetness and pleasant crunch. For root production, go for quick-growing varieties like Hakurei, Purple Top White Globe, or Tokyo Cross. If your goal is leafy greens, 7 Top is an excellent choice since it's bred specifically for lush foliage. Turnips are easy to grow and require little maintenance. Direct sow seeds about half an inch deep in well-prepared soil, spacing them roughly 2 inches apart. Once seedlings sprout, thin them to 4 to 6 inches to give each plant room to form healthy roots. They germinate quickly in cool, moist soil, usually within a week. The most important factor is consistent watering. If the soil dries out, turnip roots can become woody, and the greens may turn coarse. For raised beds or containers, ensure you have at least 8 inches of soil depth to allow proper root development. Now let's move on to mustard greens, the bold, peppery cousins of turnips that add a fresh, zesty kick to salads, sautés, and soups. Mustard greens absolutely love cooler weather and grow remarkably fast, often ready for harvest in as little as 25 to 40 days. Great fall varieties include Red Giant, Southern Curled, Green Wave, and Red Frills, each offering a slightly different flavor and color. Sow mustard seeds shallowly, about a 1/4 inch deep, and space plants 6 to 8 inches apart if you want large leaves. For tender baby greens, scatter the seeds more thickly and harvest early. They grow best in nutrient-rich, well-drained soil with plenty of compost mixed in. Light frosts actually improve their flavor, toning down the sharpness and adding a pleasant sweetness. These greens stay productive even when nighttime temperatures dip into the 20s. Degf. Both mustard greens and turnips can overwinter in many regions with minimal protection. A layer of straw, mulch, or a simple row cover will help shield them from harsh freezes. In areas with milder winters, they'll continue to grow slowly throughout the cold season and then burst back to life in early spring, providing one of the very first fresh harvests of the new year. If your winters are especially cold, you can still enjoy these crops by using cold frames, low tunnels, or even a simple sheet of plastic stretched over hoops. These structures trap just enough warmth to keep plants alive and thriving. Harvest the outer leaves regularly to encourage continuous new growth and prevent early bolting when spring arrives. Pro tips. For a constant supply, sow small batches every 2 to 3 weeks up until your first hard frost. Don't discard the turnip greens. They're packed with vitamins A, C, and K and taste great when lightly cooked or sautéed. Combine mustard and turnip greens in your harvest for a mix of flavors, from spicy and bold to mild and buttery. Whether you're after the peppery bite of mustard greens or the tender sweetness of turnip roots, these two crops are among the easiest and most dependable choices for fall planting. In October, they don't just endure the cold, they thrive in it, bringing texture, flavor, and life to your garden when most other plants are winding down. Remember, fall gardening isn't just about extending your growing season. It's about building momentum for the next one. Every seed you plant now strengthens your soil, nurtures beneficial life underground, and sets the stage for an even more productive spring. So don't let October slip away. Grab your seeds, get your hands in the soil, and keep your garden alive and thriving through the chill. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, Subscribe for more practical seasonal gardening tips and let me know in the comments what you're planting this fall. Until next time, keep growing even when the air turns cold.